said, oh, I'm a vacation judge. So he sent the case file back to the chief judge of the Federal High Court. And we haven't been reassigned to a new judge. But something very interesting happened. Another political party that had been in cahoot with the All Progressives Congress, APC, came and said he wants to join the lawsuit.
He wants to be joined,
and that was kind of strange, considering that we're looking for an expeditious resolution of the case. If the case is assigned and we have a new joiner in the case, they have to resolve whether they have the right to join or not. So I think this is just a conspiracy to stall the case so that we don't get a resolution before the presidential debate date, which is happening on January 19th.
But is that really stalling, your outreach to the Nigerian people?
No, actually not.
Are you bothered?
No, I'm not bothered, but I'm for justice.
Where have you been to in Nigeria?
I've been to 33 states, including Nasarawa State, where I'm coming from today. I've been in Latvia, where I, paid a condolence visit to the people of Latvia because their emir died last night and he is to be buried today. So my first assignment today was to go to his palace, met a lot of people, and then we went around town for a rally.
Did you pay the usual obeisance that you refused to pay when you went to see the Oni of Ife?
It's a controversy that people talk about because it suits their own particular
agenda. Is it a controversy?
It became a controversy because they didn't understand what happened, or most people did, but felt that I'm bound by certain, certain traditional rules. And what I said is that in every situation you find yourself, you must ensure that you're respected. And it's only respect that can beget respect. And all traditional rules have at the core of it respect for everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're Yoruba, Edo, Hausa. So what we did was to go there and we did pay homage to the people of Latvia and greeted them and mourned with them and left. But nobody forced me to take any particular position, and I was given the respect that I deserved. I was ushered in directly to see the mourners, and I signed the condolence visit. Nobody looked down on me. Nobody said, "Oh, who is this guy?" I was ushered into the inner room, and I greeted the chief mourner, who was the emir of Latvia, of Kefi, and left. And they greeted me. But what happened at the Oni of Ife's palace was that I was kept waiting for 3 hours. And eventually, when the Oba came out, that's the Oni of Ife, there was no recognition of the fact that I was there. But when you look at it, when the son of the Queen of England came to Nigeria, all the traditional rulers were lined up behind them, right behind him. But when it's our case, we are treated as if we are second-class citizens. It's up to us to choose how we're treated anywhere we find ourselves.
Okay. How has your message, the message of the African Action Congress, you as a flag bearer, been received by the people? Because it is really Herculean or tough, seeing you mobilize so much crowd like that. I saw some visuals of you while you were in Cannes.
Yeah.
It was a motley crowd. Yeah. Are you bothered by the turnout at your rallies?
No, any rally that you see us holding is organic. People are connecting with us based on our message.
That you've not paid people money to come here. No rent a crowd.
No. In fact, in most cases, we don't even have police. So we are welcomed by the people, and we talk to them, we engage with them.
You don't write the police that, look, you're going to have a rally in this state.
We do, but in most cases, they don't give us police protection. We wrote to the IG of police for special protection, and they never responded.
Do you need it? Because I know quite a number of views, criticize that. Why the VIP?
We are not looking for VIP treatment. I'm fine, but when you go out there to mix with a lot of people, you have to take security into consideration. Not because of me, in some cases because of those who come to welcome us and people who come and talk with us. And we've had instances where we're held off by area boys who mistook us for the traditional politicians and asked us for money. And when we don't give, they hold us to ransom.
And how have you wriggled out of that?
We talk to them and say, look, we are not people who stole your money. And after a while, they talk among themselves and say, oh, these guys are different, and they let us go.
And they understand.
They do.
And you try to persuade them that they must vote for you. They should vote for you.
In fact, when after such kind of a standoff, we earn their respect, and they turn around and say, oh, we wish we knew that you're coming or you're the one. Because we are looking for these people who stole our money. We want to take our own back right now. But there's also a culture of instant gratification, that's become a political culture in Nigeria. And we have to break through all those barriers. It's not easy, but we've been doing a good job at it. That's why we've been able to, navigate through 33 states, and we've done over 150 to 200 events, both within Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. And now people are the ones donating to us.
I was going to ask you, how is the level of volunteering for your cause, for your campaign?
Amazing. So I'll start with the donations. We've received close to 100 million naira in between donations made to our Nigerian account and GoFundMe, which is
within Nigeria,
outside Nigeria, but mostly by Nigerians. And we have been able to use that in traveling around the country, traveling outside of the country, and wherever we go, we've enjoyed massive.
You go by private jet?
No, I've never entered a private jet before. I don't know how the inside of a private jet looks, but I can tell you something. I have been to more cities and towns and villages in Nigeria than any of the presidential candidates with a private jet, including the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Alhaji Muhammadu Buhari.
Well, the President, Muhammadu Buhari, has gotten the endorsement of what once used to be a constituency. I'm talking about the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, where its leadership, only just about a week ago, less than a fortnight ago, said to him at the presidential villa, Mr. President, we are giving you 20 million votes of the students so that he can continue.
So let me break it down this way. The number of young people across Nigeria that registered to vote, 22 million voters. The number of students in Nigeria, not even close to 20 million, right? The university with the highest number of students is the University of Calabar with about 43,000 students. I don't think that these NANS guys can provide Buhari with 20 votes. I can tell you that, I'm very convinced that they don't have.
So you think it's a scam?
It's a scam. It's a big scam. And NAS has been in the business of scamming people for a while now, And when you're talking about NAS, you have to ask which NAS. Is it the NAS that is headed by people who have already graduated from the university? They have different versions of NAS now. You have to do your research.
And they drive very luxurious cars.
I've seen them driving luxurious cars. I've seen them in presidential jets before. I think these guys are aspiring to be like the enemies of the public. They are mirroring their lives after those are the politicians that ruin the country. But these are the people we used to fight against. I came from the tradition of, socially responsible activism, politically active activism, and nowadays used to be completely against any kind of relationship with those in power that can taint
and even giving awards. They give awards,
So I have seen these same NAS people give award to the likes of Buruji Kashamo, a senator in Nigeria who's wanted in the US. I've seen them give awards to the most ridiculous people.
Is that what they're supposed to be doing?
No, NAS has become commercialized. It has become a commercial entity, and their relationship with politicians is a transactional one. That's why you never see NAS fighting for express students. You can't find them fighting against school fees increments.
I was going to ask you. So if you come in as a president with the perennial truncation of tertiary education, whether at the university level by ASU or ASUP and the rest, for one salary increment, one teaching allowance and the rest, all in the name of fighting for the students. And with your experience then at the University of Lagos, how are you going to rejig the Nigerian education system? Not just at the tertiary level, because the most important level Is the primary and the secondary level?
Absolutely. Let me start by telling you how many kids we have out of school. You all know that 13 million. We have to take them back into school. And our specific intervention is to spend an average of 100,000 naira per kid to return them back to school. That would take us about 1.3 trillion naira in investment to take this
Annually.
It won't be annually, because the moment we take them out at once into school, then they become part of the education system. So it's when you don't do it at once that you have to spend annually. So it's going to be a one-time intervention of ensuring that all the 13 million kids are sent back to school. And then you can make it a crime for parents to ask their kids to go and be selling along the highway pure water, granite, and the rest of it when they should be in school, because that's what happens.
The Child Rights Act is there, and just some states have not implemented it.
The states are not interested in children education. They're interested in security votes for governors. Even the UBEC, fund that's available for states to draw from, they need to just provide a little bit of counterpart fund. They never do it because, the governors don't send their children to school here. So if you don't send your children to school in Nigeria, how would you care about primary education? But not to forget about what I've said, the same thing has to happen to secondary education. We have to have massive investment, and there has to be technological engagement, so education can be such that even people who are not in classrooms can be educated with devices like the one I'm holding. Virtual education, which they were trying to do with nomadic education. And then for the university students, I have promised, and I'll say it again here, that we should be paying our students study allowances. Do you know why it is important? Because if we don't do so, if they end up in prison, we have to feed them with 14,000 naira per day, an average prisoner. So I'm not saying that people who are educated may not end up in prison, but I'm just giving you that analogy so that you can understand that when you make a society ignorant, you are sending them to prison, pretty much. And that has been proven over time in bigger, even more advanced societies than ours. But what we need to do is massive investment in education. And I'm not the only one who is saying this. Even Bill Gates, who normally is complacent about politics, came in Nigeria and was crying loud. So you need to invest in your youth. You have to invest in their education. You have to train them. But I'm not training people in skill acquisition centers, because politicians are not sending their children to school acquisition centers. Every skill acquisition center in this country at the minimum must become a community college where you study for 2 years and obtain some kind of an associate degree. And if you want to proceed from there to university, you do so. That means we are looking at having a university per local government, but definitely maybe not a national university, but a community college. Do you know why I'm saying this? If today you want to paste tiles on your floors, you are not looking for a Nigerian trained tiler. You're going to Benin Republic, Togo. What they have done is they've improved their technical education to the extent that everybody that is engaged in this kind of, skill acquisition or skill sets have gone through some kind of education that is not just, freedom from a boss, but an education process that prepared them to do what they are doing. That's why they are better than our own people. Here we are still pursuing freedom, so to speak, because instead of learning through the college, you're learning from a boss. So, and I wanted to address ASU, which is an important thing. I have been through this whole ASU thing. It's been around for close to 30 years as well. And we must...
Are they really supporting the students? Are they really fighting for the students?
No, what you have to understand about ASU is that ASU understands that the Nigerian government is irresponsible. They are the ones who help them draft policy on its wasted. They know that this country is a drain pipe, and they're looking at how well they can get the government to give to keep the education system going. What we need to do is to drag ASU into the management of resources that are meant for university education. One instance is that there is a TED fund in this country that has become a slush fund. If you go to the Central Bank of Nigeria, there are about 600 billion naira sitting down there from education tax, TED. But what do? We put somebody, a non-entity in most of the cases, who have political connection, to waste that money. If you go to a university now, they show you a TED fund building, it's falling apart 4 years after it was built. The buildings that were built by the universities some 50 years ago, they are still intact. TED fund buildings are falling apart. It's political patronage money. That's why I call it a slush fund.
But why should that fund really still be there? It's just an interventionist agency that was supposed to have lapsed.
But they're there, and we can institutionalize those interventionist funds and also add whatever we have as our national budget added to education. By the time you add all of this together, you'll find out that it's enough to take care of us. It's enough to take care of students. It's enough to take care of non-academic staff. It's enough to build our university. The reason why I'm not against ASU is that I was there at the University of Lagos when we took $120 million loan from the World Bank to improve so-called our university. What did the universities do with it? They built walls around the university hostels that were decaying. They didn't buy one single tube in the laboratories. There were no books that were known to have been purchased by them. It happened.
And then virtual libraries have been in existence.
And now you don't even need libraries as they used to be before. But how are universities tapping into it? If you go to these universities today, there are not many universities that even have functioning websites. You can count how many universities have emails for their students. So there's a lot of work to be done. But again, this is where the digital, brains must come to rescue the country, because we are doing things the analog way, and we're expecting a digital result. Waste of time.
Okay, enough for education. Let's look at the health sector. What is the African Action Congress going to bring, to help eradicate the issue of polio? Nigeria is still polio infested in the 21st century, and the rest, some communicable diseases that have been eradicated are still prominent here.
Nigeria is the laboratory for all the diseases that are supposed to have, be eradicated. This is where you can find them. And it is because nobody has done much in improving our health infrastructure. Nobody has done much in improving upon our healthcare delivery system. We do not have a harmonized universal healthcare delivery system that is needed for a country like Nigeria.
But you have the NHIS, which is supposed to, help smoothing all this.
You know the history of NHIS. It's also a slush fund. I met the NHIS secretary, the one that was fired, at a public event one day. He was playing with his phone. The health minister, disaster. The guy was saying that doctors should leave their job to go and be tailors because his tailor is a doctor. When you have people with that kind of mindset running, and
he was once the president of NAS.
Yeah, when you have them running the healthcare sector, you are in trouble. But most importantly, what are we going to do? We have said that we will send manpower out there, because a lot of people in Nigeria have never had their blood pressure tested before. We need to put in at least 160,000 people, healthcare workers, to fan out of the country. The same way we want to do with education, 200,000 teachers immediately. But most importantly, we must also start tapping into, health technology. We are talking about telemedicine, where people who left Nigeria a long time ago, doctors who want to intervene but don't necessarily want to come in immediately, can use telephoning, to help people take care of their healthcare issues. It's not going to be massive as much as we would want at the beginning. But if you are thinking about 100 million, phone users in Nigeria, we can get a text message or send a text message to a doctor. We can start solving the problems in that direction. Because healthcare is no longer about massive hospital buildings anymore. A lot of also virtual healthcare systems have existed. But most importantly, which is important, is to provide a universal basic healthcare delivery program for Nigeria, where an average Nigerian can see a doctor regardless of their status whenever they fall sick. That these doctors are available, and we figure out how to keep our doctors here, and we attract the ones that have left the same way they did in India, because we are spending $2 billion every year to get healthcare from India. And it used to be that Nigeria
health tourism.
Yes, healthcare tourism. We embark on all of this medical tourism in India, whereas we could be the ones providing to the entire African sub-region, because we used to do for Saudi Arabia. Right now, Nigerian doctors, nurses are the most wanted or needed in the US, in the UK, in Canada. They're always looking for are doctors. Why is it that we cannot provide the healthcare that people need here? Because our government don't care. But you know why? Even if the president calls today, where does he go to get medical care? He goes to London.
And when you become president too, because of the facilities around you, you'll be flown abroad too.
No, I'm not going to be flown abroad. I am now going to be leaving this country to seek medical care. Anything that I cannot be treated here, better kill me. And I mean it. You know, but this is the reason why a president will not abandon the country, to be helpless. Because everything that is needed to start putting healthcare in place is not something that takes eternity, right? If you have 1.3 billion naira budget for the Aso Rock clinic and you don't have a syringe there, it is not the fault of the public, it's the fault of the president and his people. And that's what the wife of the president said. And if you have 1.3 billion naira to spend on the Aso Rock clinic, there better be several billion others to spend in other clinics around the world. It doesn't take too much. And that is why the leadership with passion, the leadership with intellect, the leadership with connection and exposure is necessary, not the leadership with tunnel vision. This is what is killing us in this country. And that's why we're urging our people to vote for the right people into office, vote for the right president, and vote Omoyele Sowore.
But some people will say Sowore doesn't have the experience. Where have you worked apart from being a publisher of an online newspaper? What management experience do you have? Some might still be saying, looking at you like the Lilliputian student union activist that you are, talking about 180 million people.
That's not true. So you look at me, I'm sitting here 47 years old. Out of that 47, I've expended 30 years of my life fighting for what is right. I'm an experienced fighter. And when countries are under attack from mediocre leadership, they look for fighters to take them through that era. And I would ask you, what was Mandela's experience when he became the president of South Africa? He sat there in jail for 27 years. Where did he go to school? Which local government did he manage? Which state did he govern? No, because at that
he was a practicing lawyer before
he went to jail.
Absolutely.
But he had not practiced.
He had a very thriving chamber with the late Oliver Tambo and others.
Then you can say that I also have a thriving, internationally recognized media company. That's even probably
have the necessary management skills and the rest.
It's not giving me. I have that already. I've done that for 12 years. But I also manage events. I manage crises. I was part of people who stayed on the front lines in this country when the military said they won't give up power. And we helped them get out of power. I was there when a man said he wanted to continue like Mugabe in this country, and we helped ease the power. I was one who midwifed the time most difficult for Nigerians when a sick president was sitting in Saudi Arabia and they said he was recovering. And we helped to ease him out of power so that the democracy in Nigeria grew and was consolidated over time because of our engagement. And that is what leadership is about. So the experience you are talking about is the experience in corruption, in assassination, is the experience in destruction of public institutions. I don't have that, and I don't want that, and I'm sure Nigerians are tired of that. The people who are running for office against me, or who are our opponents in this election, they don't have any experience. They have this experience, everything they own on the back of our system. The profit that they make, when you call them industrialists, is because they are cornered to themselves. Public institutions that they sold to private individuals who are proxies for them. I don't have this kind of experience. But we are looking for a leader at this point. And if you are looking for a leader, you are looking for a leader who can stand up for you, can fight for you, and who can make your country progress. And that's what every country does when they are in a quagmire like we are now.
Well, virtually all the presidential contestants have been, hinging the new development on agriculture, knowing that, it's more than a potential.
Yeah,
right. But the country is still basically agrarian and when it comes to the issue of agriculture. It's not just producing the crops that matters. It's how the byproducts are used by maybe cottage industries and the rest. How are you going to do that?
So what I discovered traveling around this country is that we're just not an agrarian side, we're still using crude.
You're going to do that very quickly because your time is
we're still using crude implements to carry out agriculture. We're still using cows and donkeys to plow. Whereas our governors are driving private jeeps all over the place. And I agree completely with people that agriculture has moved to the agrarian one that you used to know. It's become an entrepreneurial, business in which we must get in the game and identify the products that work for us. But most importantly, we need to be able to do post-harvest production of our crops in this country. And that is where we're killing ourselves. That's why China is here getting more from us than we're getting. But our food security depends on what we do with technology.
You're going to guarantee that.
Absolutely.
As if you become the president,
that would be an opportunity for jobs, a lot of jobs for young people who are out there doing nothing now.
Fantastic. Omoyele Sowore, former Student Union President, University of Lagos, and publisher of an online media and presidential candidate of the African Action Congress in the February 16th.
Yes.
Presidential.
That's my birthday.
Oh, fantastic. So we'll be coming to the polling unit to watch it with you. Thanks very much, Chair, for being part of Nigeria 2019. And you're still watching the program, Nigeria, the road to 2019. Plenty more still ahead, including speaking to the spokesperson for the coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP, who is demanding that the Independent National Electoral Commission use separate accreditation of voters on election day with the figures recorded, announced and issued to political parties agents before voting starts. Stay with us.
Nigeria. We are 198 million productive people with over 900,000 square kilometers of fertile land. Nigeria's banking system has emerged strong and resilient from the 2016 crisis, which has enhanced our productivity in agribusiness and manufacturing.
Love you. Okay. How you feeling, Mr. President?
Good. Are we good? Are we good?
Yeah, excellent, powerful, brilliant, very brilliant. I help out with these guys, technology.
Thank you. All right, so we'll be in touch. All right.
I'd love to listen before the next time.
Something else. And that we'll be able to take from him.
Okay.
So
All right. Yes, please.